This motor is so... If you know anything about Audis and timing, it usually isn't. I'm so flabbergasted right now, I can't. There's definitely some misfires. Okay, so Kia's Q7 started throwing a code that scared me a decent amount. It threw a P0011, which is for... It has something to do with the timing solenoid, variable valve timing. I get very nervous because if you know anything about Audis and timing, it usually isn't very good. From people doing oil changes too rarely, there will be a lot of gunk in the motor, and that gunk can get into those solenoids and basically keep them from doing what they're supposed to do. On these 3.6 VR6 engines, they have a timing chain in the back of the motor. There's a solenoid somewhere back there, so the car was running a little rough. So I took off the valve cover, which honestly on these cars is not very easy. You have to remove the intake manifold. That job on its own took me a few hours, for one because whoever worked on this car previously over tightened a few bolts that I had to drill out, and then secondly because there's this fuel rail has a line going to it from the high pressure pump, and this line is just, both of these fittings are so hard to reach with the intake in place, and I had to wrestle with that for quite a while. Regardless, we got that done. What I found, something not very good, just maybe you've already noticed it with me showing you the valve train, but this motor is so gunky. I already knew that the previous owners weren't taking it to a very good shop. I already knew that the previous owners probably didn't maintain it very well. There's multiple wiring situations that were messed up. There's a lot of harnesses that have broken clips. So I could tell that whoever worked on this previously didn't really know what they were doing very well. On top of that, I wasn't too confident in how frequently it was maintained. Well, now I know. Maybe you can make a guess. Look at this and let me know if you see anything wrong right off the bat. If you look closely, this is all engine gunk. I've never seen it this bad. Hold on, this is not it. You're probably thinking, oh, doesn't look so bad. I've seen worse. Wait till I show you the valve cover. All this is covered in like 1/4-inch layer of gunk. It is completely filled with it. I have never seen an engine this gunky. Holy crap. Do your oil changes, people. This is so bad, so bad. This is gonna take me a while to clean out, not to mention the fact that I have to still pull out the solenoid, and I don't even know how to do that yet. I don't know if I would not be too surprised if I can't even do that without pulling out the motor. Oh my god, that would be awful. I really hope that's not the case. I was under the impression that if I were to pull off the valve cover, I'd be able to access it. Below the valve cover, in here somewhere. This is gonna be great. I wasn't gonna make a video about this work because I didn't expect it to be very interesting or fun to watch. But then I found this and I was like, you know who I think would like this? My 100 subscribers. Fine, it's like 164. But I appreciate it for being here, and hopefully we're gonna keep going up, which we are. I'm so flabbergasted right now, I can't. In order to replace that, for one, I have to remove this bolt and the one down there. Secondly, in order for this thing to come out, as you can see, these flanges, they're not gonna come out of that hole with this being back here. This is our timing chain cover. It is removable. However, it is removable with the engine out of the car. I think we're just gonna try and spray it down from up here. I'm not sure with what, since this would be going straight into the oil pan. Maybe some fogging oil or something to try and clean the thing out. Maybe do an engine flush. So I did the engine flush. Not really bashing a brand, just letting you know what I had used. I believe it was the Motormatic engine flush for, I think it's meant for both diesel and gasoline engines, and it is full synthetic one. I think they have both. And I took it for a drive, maybe like 10-15 minutes. Everything seemed fine. Great, took it back home and sent my girlfriend on her way. Her commute to work is about, I don't know, 20 miles. And within those 20 miles, I get a text message from her. That is probably the worst text message a guy who works in cars for his girlfriend could get. Two options. First option is that the engine flush caused chunks of gunk to get flushed down into the oil pan and then get sucked up into the pickup tube, clogging it, keeping the oil pressure down, not letting the pump suck up all the oil that it needs to suck up. Option number 2, which is what I think, we'll get to the option number 2 later. So because I had a suspicion that there was just sludge in the pickup tube blocking it, I figured that maybe doing another engine flush using this liquid moly flush, I'll be able to clear the stuff out. You've seen my other videos besides this car. You would know that that Touareg is having very similar issues. Okay, we waited about 20 minutes. Yep. And now we're gonna get the oil out. I did an oil change literally 100 miles ago. By the way, while we were down here, let me just show you how bad the oil filter design is on these engines. No, I just dropped the drain plug. And the oil filter is right there. I mean, not only do we have this line covering it, you also don't have enough space here to pull out the cap with the filter together out of this. You have to separate them while they're still in the space and then pull out the cap and then separately pull out the filters. Well, there goes the actual filter. And then the cap comes out from the front. What a mess. Okay, with that done, let's see if the God, it sounds bad. Oh, we have oil pressure warning right off the bat. Okay. Option number 2 is that the engine flush is not enough to provide lubrication for the motor, even though you added to like an existing 5 quarts of oil or whatever's in the car. Apparently, it's possible that it will not provide enough lubrication into the rod bearings or crank bearings or main bearings, whatever bearings are down there. And if you're not getting enough lubrication on the crank and the bearings for it, then bad things are gonna happen. You're gonna see metal shavings, which is what you're probably gonna see if you get oil pressure issues regardless, but you will also never be able to regain that oil pressure until you take apart the engine and replace those bearings. And that will definitely require an engine pull, because on these engines you cannot take an oil pan out with the engine in the car. The fact that you have to pull the motor to take out the oil pan is the most frustrating thing ever, because I'm dealing with both this Q7 and the Touareg, and this would have been so much easier to diagnose if I could reach it from the bottom by dropping the oil pan like you can in any other car, almost any, but you get the point. So I had no room to pull the motor. I couldn't do it right now. In my 2-car garage, which might change very soon. Later today, I'm going to sign a lease on a shop that has a lift in it. This is huge news, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and honestly, I didn't expect it to happen so soon, but the ride shop came along and I kind of just went with it. This is gonna be a big risk. I don't know if this is a good idea, but I'm giving it a shot and we're gonna see what happens. This is not really my best video. I don't expect it to be. This is just something I felt like I needed to put out. I wasn't even expecting to really post this. I figured I should, just to give you an update on what happened to the car. After all, I did show you how I got it for very cheap. Well, I had to sell it for also very cheap and lost a bit of money on it. I sold it for more than I bought it for, but I had also spent some decent money on the car. So now I'm the idiot who bought a broken car for his girlfriend. Anyway, this new shop is gonna be very exciting. It's gonna be awesome, I hope, but it's also gonna be very expensive. So please help me reach my goal of getting monetized by the end of this year. I started this channel on like January 6th or something, so my goal was always to get monetized within a year of having a channel. We've got maybe 3-4 months, something like that. So please help me with the algorithm. You know what to do. The guy who bought the car was a mechanic who has access to a shop and a lift. He actually managed to drive it 2 hours with low oil pressure. And he's planning to change the motor on it eventually, but he is going to keep driving it until it dies. So best of luck to him. Hopefully
it takes a long time. And it also makes me pretty optimistic about the Touareg that also has the same issue. But now that I have a lift, I will be able to do it myself, probably. So subscribe to see that. Thanks, guys.